charge of that aspect of the company. Like the developer who spearheads that team, you know?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I get you.
we're live with another episode of BS Busters, and we're joined by the usual suspects. We'll have everyone introduce themselves, and then we'll dive into these topics. Before we go any further, we'll have the lady introduce herself, then the gentleman, and then myself, and then we'll get to these topics.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, to the BS Busters and the Week podcast for the last time in April. And I'm Joe Red Eli Moonstar, and Square Enix has some noise to cover up.
Yep. Kanoshi?
Yeah, it's Kanoshi Abominito. He's here to say that. I forgot his name already. Went full nuclear on Twitter, calling out Square Enix.
Yeah. Yuji Naka had some knocks of his own.
Yuji Naka, yeah.
Yuji Naka, or the guy who created Sonic the Hedgehog. And this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor. No, he's the what Shigeru Miyamoto is to Mario, Yuji Naka is to Sonic the Hedgehog. So, that's his. I mean, to be fair though, I mean, like I've said this before, Yuji Naka, I don't put at the same level as on a technical aspect, like because Miyamoto isn't a coder. Like he just designed stuff and then gave it to other people. Whereas Yuji Naka not only was a designer, but he a game designer, but he also was is a coder. So on that regard, on a technical level, he's a better game developer than Miyamoto, who's just like a design. He's an idea guy. Miyamoto is an idea guy. Whereas Yuji Naka can also get his hands dirty and go into coding and mess around with engines and shit.
Sorry about the late appearance, gentlemen and ladies.
Oh, that's okay. If this was Smash Brothers, a new challenger approaches. Right. Is it Sonic the Hedgehog and Brawl? It is!
I demand a Sephiroth production level trailer.
You're sassing now.
Yeah, Sephiroth, one-winged angle. I so hated Final Fantasy VII that when they used to play that song, One-Winged Angel, I had never played Final Fantasy at that point when I was at Final Fantasy VII, so I didn't know what the fuck it was. They were like, "Oh, this is legendary Final Fantasy music." I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've once you expand your scope, Square music is just fine. I mean, it's still tops, but One Winged Angels is fine for me.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what your generation is and what works for you. Like for me personally, Louis, introduce yourself.
Hey, people, my name's Louis. Nice to meet you.
Great, glad to have you. For me personally, it just depends on what you grew up with. Like for me, a lot of people like the later Street Fighters themes, but I grew up on Street Fighter 2. So for me, that's like the best music in the series.
No, I feel that they've got some straight bangers in that one.
Like when they
your mileage may vary depending on the music, but yeah.
When they released Final Street Fighter 4, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do remixes of all the original themes," and I'm listening to the remix of like Guile's theme and Ryu's theme. I'm like, this is trash.
I hear that the Street Fighter 4 soundtracks are pretty much widely panned by a lot of the fan base.
Yeah, like how do you mess up Guile's theme? His theme goes with everything. Well, they messed it up in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta reset my computer real quick.
That's okay, man.
I've got to catch up anyways.
All right. So our topics for tonight, we're going to be covering the real issues with Sonic Origins that may be a deal breaker for some gamers. Our thoughts on TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, and other TMNT games that we may have played back in the day. The development of a storage medium that can hold 25 million terabytes of data.
Goodness.
Yes. Which means if we can just hold on for like 10, 15 years, you will have laptops we will have laptops in 10 to 15 years that will be the size of one of those notebook, one of those like a Microsoft tablet, like
Mhm.
those tablet keyboard
Mm-hmm.
hybrids that will be thin and have like 50 terabytes of storage
No.
and
That
be
would
this
be
around
awesome, but
the same amount of money.
I could only imagine the price.
Well, right now the technology was just developed in Japan, but like they have a 5 centimeter diamond storage thing, which literally could hold 25 million 1 terabyte SSDs.
I'm sure it'll be affordable for the mainstream with enough time. I mean, I remember back then, 30 years ago, you'd have to pay up the butt for 64 megabytes.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when SSDs first came on the market, like consumer level, like 10 years ago, and like a 20 gig SSD was no, not 20, like a 50, like 100 gig was like prohibitively expensive. It's like, oh, you want to upgrade your hard drive into the hard drive. You want to upgrade one of the hard drives on your PC to a SSD. Well, let's see. That'll be arm and a leg.
One arm, one leg,
Yeah.
and a kidney.
It's like a
Right.
hard drive, like a 500 gig hard drive back then, like 10 years ago, would cost you like 250, 300. Maybe 400, and like the SSD would be like 2 times more than that. Like if you wanted a 250 SSD like 10 years ago, like if a hard drive that was 500 gigs cost you, like, let's say I'm using an arbitrary number, like 400, the SSD would cost you like 599, 600. But the prices have been going down. Like flash memory has been going down. It's not as happening as quickly as I would like, but I'm just saying, like, potentially that'd be awesome. But the other thing is, we'll cover Yuji Naka pulling back the curtain on the dumpster fire filled with dirty diapers that was Balin Underworld.
Yeah, no,
Balin Wonderworld.
I'm excited about that one in particular because I was under the impression this was just another Inafune thing, but no, I'm glad because I have nothing against Yuji Naka. Yeah, I would have loved for this to be his big comeback, but no, I'm excited to get there when we finally do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
well,
glad. I'm,
no,
I'm
go
glad
ahead.
that it wasn't. Yeah, I'm glad that it wasn't just just a lazy offering by Yuji Naka and Square Enix. I think that's what a lot of people thought at first, but now that you know that he actually wanted to come out with a relatively competent product,
Yeah, and it was
it's
just
a
rushed
shame
out
that
the
Square
door.
wouldn't let.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that Square wouldn't let him.
They're like, we have to fit this deadline. And it was
If
weird
anything,
because they had other stuff coming out where I was like, y'all could just push this back. No.
Yeah, I get you. And the thing is, for me, I actually got the understanding of it in a sense right on the spot that you try to make it so simple, so simplicity can only do so much.
Yeah. Well,
God.
I mean, I don't think that's the reason the game failed. But anyway, you'll hear it from the horse's mouth once we get to that segment. But let's get to the first one. Sonic Origins, issues with Sonic Origins that may be a real deal breaker. So it's come out, like some more information came out about Sonic Origins, and I was like, there were some good things about Sonic Origins. Like if you get the premium version of the game, that's like $49.99. You're getting like 5-6 games with it. All these games are rebuilt from the ground up in a more modern engine, so they should run better than just emulating the games, like people have had to do for years with re-releases of these games. The weird DLC in order for like different versions of the game aside, but I discovered something that is kind of like, that's not cool. They're using everyone's favorite anti-piracy, anti-cheat software, Denuvo! Yay!
Wait, you're kidding me?
Yes,
Really?
yes. And here's the thing.
Oh no!
We all know that Sonic the Hedgehog is a game where quick twitch reflexes and not losing frames of animation is an important thing in a Sonic game because...
And we all know what De Novo does!
Yeah, so even if you have a high... For those of you who don't know, even if you have a higher end PC, De Novo will...
We'll turn your speedy hair into a turtle.
Well, not to that extreme, but it will... It diverts resources that should be going to the game to running anti-cheat software while the game is running.
Your consent.
Yeah, and it's not, it's like, okay, like the way I think that De Novo is just a scam, because like if you bought the game, then you know why can't anti-cheat software be like it used to be, where it was like, okay, this is the version of the game, this is the officially supported version of the game. If you're running a version of the game that's older, hasn't been updated, then you can't use the online part of that game. So you're stuck offline. Like, do we really need De Novo?
Wonder, what the F?
Do we really need De Novo basically handicapping the performance of because De Novo not only, like, if you have a PC, if you have a computer, De Novo not only diverts system resources from, you know, RAM and CPU processing power and RAM processing power from the game, but I mean, like, if you have a beefy PC, it's a negligible amount of resources being diverted. But what if you have like a console where ostensibly everything has to be put towards running that game? So the game's gonna run like ass, as the AVGN says, in order to get it to run.
God.
And I mean, I'm like, first of all, okay, like, I could understand anti-piracy software for a full price AAA game, $60,
Yes.
$70. It's look. This is a $40 game if you get the base version. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you was putting it at 60, why the loving stars of love would you ever give De Novo a chance to lock your game from being pirated in order to slow down that would make Sonic scream in pain?
I actually think it also has something to do with the fact that they delisted the original versions of these off several storefronts.
Yeah, but this is a typical. This is what a lot. I mean, Nintendo did the same thing with a lot of their classic games when they dropped support for you know, their older, like, you know, like Sony did the same thing when they dropped support for like older games on the PSN. Like, these companies do this because ultimately it boils down to these companies want to control how you play their old games. If you don't have the original media, they want, like, the only way you can play these games is the way they want you to play these games. You know, it's, I mean, it's blatantly anti-consumer, because, like, and I'll tell you why it's blatantly anti-consumer, in my opinion. Because before they delisted all these games, you could get like 4 out of the 5 games that they're offering off of the Sega Ages collection for like $20. Or if you're like me and you had it on PC, I have the Sega Genesis like Ultimate Collection on Steam here. Let me look it up. Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, and Genesis Classics. And I think they delisted a lot of the games in here, but let's see, February. I bought this for like $2.99, and it has 58 games. It has 58 games. Here's what you get for like $2.99. Comic Zone, Crackdown, Echo, Game Ground, Golden Axe, Shinobi 3, Sonic 3D Blast, Space Harrier 2, Vector Man, Altered Beast, Shadow Dancer, Alex Kidd, Bonanza Brothers, Columns, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Echo Jr., Eternal Champions, Fatal Labyrinth, Galaxy Force, Kid Chameleon, that's actually a pretty good game, Ristar, Sonic Spinball, Super Thunderblade, Alien Storm, Biohazard Battle, Columns, Sonic the Hedgehog, all the Shining Force games, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic 2.
Damn, man, that's a smorgasbord. But I could definitely see another big reason why I'm doing this because I remember those old collections. Capcom used to put them out a lot.
Yep.
This I this just conveniently placed around to sell big bucks because of the movie releasing about what 2 weeks ago, I think. Three,
Yeah,
maybe.
but I mean, this
Yeah.
is the time where they could be picking up better. Because I mean, okay, they came out. I mean, Sonic. Whether you're a Sega fanboy or not, Sega did something, and once again, their old marketing came. They did something that Nintendo don't. They actually made a commercially successful video game movie, the most successful video game movie of all time.
Yep, topping old Detective Pikachu, which I think was a placeholder at the time.
Yeah,
I believe so.
yeah, and I mean, I know some people say, "Well, that's Nintendo." Technically, it isn't. Pokemon's second party.
Yeah. Yep, it's a shared product. Nintendo just has a part of the stake.
Yeah, so Sega does what Nintendo don't. They made a successful video game movie. Like, here's how fucking badass Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was. The Mario movie that was pushed to next year is taking up the slot of Sonic the movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that it had this year.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's telling right there, absolutely, and especially given that I think at this point, I definitely say Mario's the bigger brand name. That's absolutely telling.
Well, yes, Mario is the bigger brand name. Mario, I would argue, has the better games than than Sonic, or at least
Yeah.
more consistent games than Sonic.
No, I hear you. Sega is a company I like the IPs they own via other companies they bought out, not so much their own
Well,
crafted ones.
I mean, there are a few Sega IPs that I really like, but they haven't done shit with them that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Like,
Time Crisis is in a time crisis.
well, I like Fantasy Star, but they haven't done shit. Oh, well, they haven't done anything. Like, Fantasy Star went from being this kind of like RPG that was their answer to Final Fantasy
Mm.
to being an MMO light to being
Full on MMO.
a full on. Well, I mean, a Monster Hunter MMO light. And to be
Yes.
fair, I like Fantasy Star. Like even the MMO light versions, like because when I was in college, I played the shit out of Fantasy Star
The
Online.
Dreamcast one.
Well, I didn't have it on Dreamcast. I had the GameCube re-release, and I liked the re-release
Yeah, that
so
was
much.
Phantasy Star 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and 2. Then I got the Fantasy Star Plus 1 and 2, which had all the extra content and stuff on the GameCube as well. And I played that too because you could carry your save over, which I loved. And I played that game so much that I broke the gameplay clock on it because it maxed out at 999 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was my unwinding game. Like I would go and do my work, do my coursework, do my homework, work on my paper, finish it, and then my unwind because it was kind of weird. In college, I didn't like other people editing my papers, like because I had both of my degrees in college were like writing degrees where you have to do a lot of writing and like essays and shit. So I would basically do my first or second draft, and then I would basically wait like 2 or 3 days. During those 2 or 3 days, I'd put my mind on something else, and then I'd go back and read it. And I'm like, this is okay, this is good, this is shit, and then I rewrite stuff. But my unwind game was Phantasy Star Online. It was Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 plus, and it was the other game I played was Steambot Chronicles. And the other game I played on my GameCube was Rogue Squadron 2. Those were my unwind games and Bait and Katos and Fantasy Star, Skies of Arcadia Legends. Those that's what I played. Those are the games I played to unwind before I had to go do other stuff. So I mean, I like Sega, and notice like 2 of those are Sega games.
Righto.
But I mean,
Yeah, no, like I think lately, yeah, I mean, they've been trying. I think they had the House of the Dead remake come out. Yeah, so they're not completely emotionless.
Yeah, I mean, I like the House of the Dead remake. I just really wanted a I just really wanted House of the Dead Overkill.
Oh, that one's good. Yep.
I love
That one's really
Overkill
good.
better than
Oh yeah.
with all the
No, no,
cursing
no.
and that black guy.
Oh,
This
yep.
is some fucked up shit. What the hell are you doing? Like, because he's saying what any person with sense would say in such a fucked up
A
situation.
sane person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is this sick shit right here? I'm like, yeah, this is great. I love it. I love it. But yes, like this is the time where Sega could really be clawing back their appeal and saying, yes, we have IPs that are fucking awesome and we care about gamers and we're back. No, we'll fuck it up by releasing Sonic Origins with De Nouveau and all this convoluted ass fucking DLC and locking shit and like I understand them delisting things, but I think a better idea instead of delisting things would have been to just be like, look, you know, these are the base versions of the game. They're older, they're being emulated, they might not run as well on newer hardware. Why don't you go with the new versions that we made that have been optimized to run on newer stuff? Because there are games that you can buy right now off of digital storefronts on PC especially that even they don't run as well on newer hardware. Like you have to run them either in compatibility mode on old shit. Nope. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, it would have been the better PR decision. Definitely.
But it's Sega, Sega's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
But Kadoshi, you have any thoughts?
You guys basically said everything that needed to be said. It's yeah. Especially with De Novo coming out, it's like now you don't really have any other option to play those other games unless you pirate them or emulate them.
I don't,
Well, if this is what it's going to be with Sonic, I might as well be playing Sonic Labyrinth.
Actually, since we're talking about delisting games, I think this is a rough segue, but I recall that remake of TMNT 4 being delisted off PS3 and
Turtles in Time.
Yep, and would you look at that? We have a TMNT game to talk about.
Yep. TMNT Shredder's Revenge finally got a release window, not a date, but it's coming out sometime this summer. And I mean, it looks like what we wanted for years, and no one would give us. We're gonna make a TMNT game, but it's got to be 3D, and it's got to look like shit. And it's like that Ubisoft remake of Turtles in Time, which was
I never played it. It was delisted, and I don't think I will play it.
I had it on the PS3, and it was shit.
Yeah, no, the only thing I had an interest in was the online capability, but that wasn't nearly enough.
It didn't. The game just didn't feel that well. Didn't feel that fun to play. Now I know people are going to be like, "Well, you're biased because you grew up playing Turtles in Time, the arcade version and the SNES version." Yes, but I mean, whatever you get, like, what you guys need to understand is that when we were in our age group, like especially Jules and myself, there was a time when like the 2 best companies for arcade beat 'em ups were Capcom and Konami.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you could add Technos with like River City Ransom and Double Dragon in there too.
Your mileage will vary.
It depends on what type of beat 'em up you want to play. Like Double Dragon always was a bit more tactical. Like and if you're playing a Capcom beat 'em up, I mean, the Capcom beat 'em ups are fun to play, but they all devolve into, okay, I'm gonna keep all the enemies on one side of the screen so that they can't run up on me while I'm throw everyone into the corner and then beat the ever loving shit out of them. And if someone comes up from behind, grab them, throw them into the dudes that are in the corner, and just keep on beating the shit out of everyone in that corner. That's a Capcom beat 'em up. Konami, little bit different, because they would bosses would change up their pattern. Enemies would change up your pattern. You can just throw everyone in the corner in a Konami beat 'em up, and then just beat everyone's ass in that corner. That was the Konami. That was the Capcom's thing. Konami, a little bit different. Don't believe me? Go play the arcade version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Turtles in Time. Just keep on ganging up on a boss and beating their ass. Eventually, the pattern changes and you're gonna get wrecked. And Technos with their with Double Dragon and River City Ransom and Rampage and all that type of stuff were more tactical. Capcom is like what the way I'd break it down is Capcom beat 'em ups are like what you wish beat 'em ups were. Like, it's easy. I'll just throw these guys in the corner, kick all their asses. Like the power fantasy of a beat 'em up. Konami's like, okay, we're gonna make you feel powerful, but when you fight a boss, you're gonna know there's a reason these motherfuckers are the boss of this area. And then Double Dragon and Technos' stuff is like, okay, this is what an actual street fight would be. Because in Double Dragon, it almost doesn't pay to just run up on someone and start fighting them like you would in a Capcom or Konami beat 'em up. It's better for you to like pick up a weapon and beat somebody's ass with it. Like in a real fight. Like, why would I punch you with my fist and hurt my hand when I can take this chain and beat your ass with it?
And smack your face with it.
Yeah. Why hurt my hand? But anyway, TMNT Shredder's Revenge has gotten a release window. It looks amazing. It looks like the TMNT 5 we always wanted but never got because Konami lost the rights and no one else wanted to do cel shaded graphics for a TMNT game. Everyone wanted to do like, we need to make it 3D. We need to make them look like some stupid ass cartoon that isn't quite as good as the old shit. I was going to say,
they were trying to Michael Bay it.
Yeah. Well, it all happened around that time, if you ask me, like 2012, 2013.
For the later ones. There were some good 2D TMNT games that were released by Konami on the Game Boy Advance that were based on the OT series, the darker series that was like 2003 to 2007.
Yeah,
the WB. Well, I saw it on WB.
Yeah, I think it was originally on Fox and then it went to WB. But that series was I call that the Batman, heavily influenced by Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, because prior to that, you either had the really dark Richard Lair comics or the super camp 80s series. There wasn't any in between.
Yeah, well, for me, like, I'm in that age group where I grew up watching the 87 series.
Right.
Like, that was the TMNT to me. And then later on when I was older, I went back and I read the Laird and Eastman comics and the crossover with Usagi Yojimbo. And I mean, I like them both equally. I like how they changed the lore in the animated series, in the 87 animated series. Like, I find the idea of Splinter just being a rat who somehow, through watching his master Hamato Yoshi, picked up a killing martial art. I find that kind of stupid.
No, I hear that. I think that's actually the same story the Henson movie went with.
Yeah. I always found that kind of stupid. I prefer the animated series where they're like, okay, Hamato Yoshi is Splinter, except he got transformed into a giant rat. Which, I mean, we're considering. Look, if you're considering that turtles can be doused in mutagen and turned into giant humanoid turtles, then having Hamato Yoshi be a guy who was in the sewers and got turned into a giant rat makes a lot more sense than a rat learning karate. Okay, I'm just saying. All right.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I guess they just I think they're going, rats are able to learn mazes and stuff, so they just decide to take it up a ridiculous notch. But that probably would have.
I like him being Hamato Yoshi too, because it makes the whole Oruko Saki rivalry a lot more personal. Like it's just I've always liked that rivalry between them when it's just some very smart rat. It's a little too camp for me.
Well, it cheapens the experience.
Yeah.
And it also, but I will say this much: the movie from 90, The movie from '90 did, and this was due to the voice actors and the writing, because that movie had some really good writing for a movie based off of a comic book series that was way too dark and a cartoon series that was the opposite direction of dark. That movie really does get across something that both the comic book and the animated series had synchronicity on, which is that Splinter sees the turtles as his children. They are his sons, and they see him as not only their master but their father. So I give a lot of credit to that, and I mean that's mostly Henson and the puppeteering. Which shameless plug for where I live. If you go to the Museum of American History in Washington D.C., the Smithsonian Museum of American History, you can go down there and see the Sesame Street puppets and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those puppets, which they have actually restored to being much better, because they used to look they were falling apart. But they've restored them to make them look really fucking good. And for someone like me who like went to the movie theater to see that movie when I was like, because when that movie came out, I didn't see it when it came out because I was 4, but when I was 5, I went to go see that movie because I like Jewel and myself were still in that age group in the early '90s when movies would come out and stay in theaters for like 8-9 months. Y'all young folks don't know. Like now, a movie can do poorly for like a week and it's pulled out the next week. But when we were kids,
go
ahead,
those movies stay for months.
Yeah, sometimes
yeah,
a whole year.
Movies can do good, and they still only are in theaters for like 2 or 3 months these days.
Yeah. The only movies that tend to stay for at least 3 or 4 months is a Marvel movie. A Marvel movie will stay 3 or 4 months. Everyone else,
a faith-based movie.
Well, the faith-based movies will hold on because they'll have a dedicated crowd that'll keep on watching it, even though they're terrible. A lot of them, except for the identical.
I was going to say that your mileage may vary depending on the Marvel movie.
Well, most of the Marvel movies do stay in theaters for a long time. Like Shang-Chi stayed in theaters for a long time.
Guardian stayed for quite a bit.
Yeah, Black Panther stayed for a long time.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like if you're a Marvel movie, you're going to be in the theater for a while. But even Marvel movies aren't staying in movie theaters like movies did back in the early 90s, late 80s. In the early 90s, late 80s, a movie would stay in theaters for a year. Because I remember when Star Trek The Undiscovered Country came out. It came out at the same time as Hook from Steven Spielberg. And it was in the movie theater for like over a year because I saw The Undiscovered Country later on that same year. Like now, like you'd have like a 2-month, 3-month window and it's gone. But back then, no, boom, still there.
Yeah, and I think the last movie to really see that sort of stay was Titanic. It was probably the biggest movie in '97 and '98.
Yeah, and I mean, you'd have to be a real fan of Titanic in order to want to watch it over and over again.
The movie was super long and super.
Yeah, Titanic should be called a miracle movie because ultimately, like everyone's like it's so romantic. No, here is to quote Roy Wood Jr. Titanic is a movie about a woman who was dicked down so good that she went back to remember how good she was dicked down and take a necklace and throw it back in the water after people spent all that money and time getting the necklace. That's Titanic.
Yeah.
And this dude,
movie was so dumb.
Look, Rose put it on Jack so good that he was willing to die to save her. Do you know how good you have to be? Do you know how good stuff a woman has to be working with that a man's like, you know what? I only hit it once. I'll die for you. Shit, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, nah, bitch, move over. There's room for 2 people on that door.
You have to be at cloud. She has to send you to cloud 99 in order for that idea to even sink in.
You got to put me into a coma. You gotta put me into a don't touch me at all for the next 30 minutes. My toes are all jacked up, and I'm in a full body lock. like all fucked up. And even then, I'm not gonna die for you. I'm like, well, I'll figure something out. We both can live. Nah, both of them. I mean, goddamn.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's the kind of woman that you don't want to
I mean,
lose.
it's a romance movie, and romance movies are ultra unrealistic. I guess they're kind of supposed to, or whatever.
I won't say every
For
romance.
that
No, go ahead.
for that particular crowd of people who are in the romance movies.
I mean, I won't say every romance movie is unrealistic. I mean, like I would say, if you go watch When Harry Met Sally, that's pretty good, and that's a romance movie, and it's not as unrealistic as, say, what you get from a lot of films. But When Harry Met Sally actually holds a mirror to how a lot of people who are searching for romance are full of shit. So that's what makes With Harry Met Sally, because it acknowledges that a lot of people who are searching for romance are full of shit. But anyway, back on topic. Yeah, TMNT Shredder's Revenge is back. It's being released in. Let me look at the release window for TMNT. TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge, or Revenge. Revenge.
You're
I
having
think
fun.
I want to say the devs are these the same devs behind the Streets of Rage 4?
I think they are. I think they
Okay,
are the same
'cause-
devs.
Alright, 'cause-
Actually, no. I think it was them and the devs who made another beat 'em up that people really liked, and they gave a pitch for a TMNT game, and then they realized, I think Emu and Tribute Games both made a pitch to make a TMNT game, and then they realized they both want to make a TMNT game, so they said, why don't we combine our powers? Like Captain Planet, let our powers combine.
Well, I love it.
Bye.
I'm totally with this new wave of faux retro games like River City Girls. I'm with it.
Yep. So basically, it's going to come out in it doesn't tell me, but I mean, basically this game is it's everything. It's what we did. Okay, it's coming out Q3 2022, so that's going to be like late summer, early fall.
Somewhere near June and September.
Yeah. I wish it was summer, but whatever. Anyway, I mean, this is what we always wanted. This is what we always wanted, and we're getting what we wanted. A TMNT, and you've got 6 playable characters. You've got Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo and Raphael, April O'Neil, and Splinter.
Yeah.
Splinter. And yeah, that's an interesting surprise to get 2 new characters to go with the usual 4.
Well, I mean, okay. As a TMNT fan, I'm gonna have some nitpicks. My first nitpick is, well, not a nitpick, but a hope. I hope that they'll allow modding on PC, because I would like to replace. Now, I'm not. Look, I like Yellow Jumpsuit April O'Neil because Yellow Suit April O'Neil is fucking hot. She's built like a brick shit house. But
Hell
I think it would be cool for you to be able to sub in the comic book April O'Neil, who was a black chick with a jerry curl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
No, I think
Black April O'Neil with the jerry curl.
yeah, no. She's April O'Neil's very much like Catwoman, where they just sort of bend her race to whatever the artist wants at the time.
Oh yeah, but initially because I think either Eastman or Laird, one of them was dating a girl, and that's who they based April O'Neil on, and she was a black chick with a jerry curl. Because it's the 80s, okay? It's the 80s. Jerry curls were big in the 80s. And all of us black people have a relative that, like, the jerry curl worked for them in the 80s, and they kept on wearing it into the 90s and the aughts. They never stopped
they
wearing
got
the
Jerry curl juice everywhere.
Yeah, activator. And you better not hug them with your eyes open, because you're going to get activator juice in your eyes. Be like, eyes, activator. Ah, shit, it burns. Just moist. But yeah, I hope they bring that. But this thing looks awesome. I will screen share some of these. Go back to what they have in these things because it looks really awesome, and I think that if you're a TMNT fan like us or like myself, I can't speak for Jewel or Kadoshi, but like like this is like everyone says, "Oh, I'm tired of nostalgia," but then someone does something nostalgic that's actually fucking awesome, and you're like,
I was gonna
you got
say,
me."
nostalgia can work, but you have to be careful with it.
When it's done well, it's awesome. When it stinks, it's terrible. So, this game has two modes. It has arcade mode, and story mode. In arcade mode, everyone is low powered, but it's like a typical arcade run. And in story mode, you can actually power up your characters as you play through the game. Like you beat a level, you get some experience points, and you could level up your characters. And you've got different playable characters. April O'Neil beating people's asses. You've got 80s April O'Neil. 80s April O'Neil. The April O'Neil from the cartoon where the first time you meet her, she's all tied up and she just breathes really hard and her chest breaks the fucking ropes because she's stacked.
They know what they did.
She's stacked. Like, people wonder, I don't know what it was in the 80s, but they loved making hot redheads in the 80s. Like Jessica Rabbit, April O'Neil. I don't know.
Red
like
Sonja.
Yeah, Red Sonja. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, you've got the Mousers. You've got hot April O'Neil. She's hot in the new game. She's a little bit more athletic. She's not quite. She's a little bit thicker than she was even in the in the cartoon, but she's still, I mean, look, I'll take this April O'Neil over that shit we got in the Michael Bay films any day.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Goodness, awful casting. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's like the woman on the X-Men cartoon. Just, ooh.
Yeah. The only reason they got that chick from the new X-Men films was because she had red hair. Like, you're gonna be Jean Grey because you have red hair, and that's it. I'm like, because she's a terrible actress. Oh, she's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, she's bad.
Yeah, a lot of that show's carried by the writing because a lot of it's theater actors. Well, you can tell they're theater actors.
Well, usually theater actors are better than conventional.
Well, I mean, more so on the amateur scale, because like I said, I don't like most of my theater actors that I know of that are that high caliber are the Broadway ones, really.
Yeah,
I don't know much about the English scene.
Yeah, but typically speaking, consummate theater actors are really good. But it is what it is. But anyway, you've got some amazing stuff. You've got the turtles fighting their way into channel 4 or channel 7. Vern gets kidnapped.
Channel 6.
Channel 6, yeah, one of the channels. I forget which channel it's called. But Vern gets kidnapped. You've got Irma. I hope they have more playable characters than just extra playable characters aside from April and Splinter. I hope they add some of the more obscure TMNT characters like Man Ray, Leatherhead, Izzy. Let's see who else. Shellhead. I forgot the name. Gearhead, something like that.
Yeah, Metalhead.
Yeah, Taka. Well, I hope they don't add Taka and Razor. I hated Taka and Razor. Even when I was a kid, I was like, what is this bullshit right here?
Those guys are exclusively made for the movie TMNT 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Well, they put them in the Turtles in Time, Taka and Razor. It was like, what the fuck is this shit right here?
I mean, that was their first appearance. I mean, the first time they were made, they were done for exclusive movies.
You know why they put them in there, right? They couldn't get the rights to Bebop and Rocksteady. They're like, we are not spending out more money to put the shit that kids who made the first movie a thing want to see.
That's
Bebop
the weird
and Rocksteady.
Thing. Both Tokar and Razor and Rocksteady and Bebop were in TMNT 4.
Yeah. It was weird. Like, I don't know why they put Taka and Razor in TMNT 4, but they did it. It's Konami, so
I was gonna say, though, if anything, Tokar and Razor were earlier bosses right next to the Shredder, while Bebop and Rocksteady were their own final boss fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you fight your way to Shredder the first time in the Technodrome, and he cast the turtles into time.
Personally,
yeah.
I'll pay anything just to play Slash or Hun. Really.
Slash, I kind of thought was cool. Hun, I was like, I could take him or leave him. But here you can see the Rat King. They're teaming up with. Now, here's the thing: the first time they had the Rat King in the cartoon, he was actually a threat, and then they turned him into comedy relief later on, which was kind of not cool. The Rat King. And
would you pay for Krang?
I mean, it depends. I mean, okay. I think as a joke character, if they have Krang when he's just in his like stroller, because when you bought Krang initially, he was in his stroller, like his little like his baby stroller thing. He didn't have his android body. I think that would be cool. I think it would also be cool if they had Krang in his robotic body. His robotic body that like it was such a big deal when he finally got it, but then the turtle still kicked his ass anyway. It's like, it's like, I'm not gonna help you, Shredder, until you finish my body. It's like, okay, fine then. And he gets his ass kicked by the turtles anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah. And for the record, if anybody's wondering, you fight Krang twice at stages 8 and 9 of Turtles in Time 4.
Yeah. The first time you fight him, you're fighting him on in the Mode 7 highway, and then the second time you fight him, like he's inside of his hovercraft
toy ship.
thing.
Yeah.
So we have a de-evolved Bebop and Rocksteady trying to run your ass down in this screenshot, and it's finishing off with the turtles like basically kind of teaming up against this one foot soldier with a shield. Dude, there's 4 of them and 1 of you, and your friend's down there on the ground. What are you gonna do?
You're about to get shell shocked.
I mean, you look like those soldiers in that first legendary Godzilla film where they're like jumping out of airplanes. What the fuck are you gonna do? What, shoot Godzilla? What? Shoot him with a gun? Really? Okay. All right, bro. Anyway, so TMNT is coming out Q3. I don't know when. I hope it comes out sooner rather than later so I can get my beat 'em up action on. Because I'm a TMNT fan. And I hope they add more characters because they have a bigger team now. So,
Triceratons, let's go.
I would love to have a Triceraton.
All right, now that makes 2. Well, I guess to download all these characters, you're going to need a storage medium that can hold all that DLC.
I would totally be okay with that. So, keeping it moving to the next topic. Apparently in Japan, they have developed a storage medium that does something that we've talked about on other podcasts called quantum storage. Okay, quantum storage just basically is a fancy term of saying that it essentially is using a form of storage that is exponentially that has exponentially more space than anything that we have right now. So researchers in Japan say they've concocted a new method of creating wafers out of diamonds that are able to store mammoth amounts of data on them. We're talking 25 exabytes of storage, which is 25,000 petabytes, or 25 million terabytes, or 25 billion gigabytes.
This is probably for servers and stuff, right?
Well, I mean, it's still in research phases, so I don't think it probably won't hit servers for another 10 years, but I'm pretty sure that in 15 years you'll probably see, because if a 5 millimeter wafer can store 25 million terabytes, imagine what you could do. This could be a breakthrough of flash memory, because you could have a piece of it and it would hold like 500 terabytes. Like, imagine.
No, that sounds fantastic. Now, I'm not trying to be a down here. Now we just need the price of diamonds to go down.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Diamonds are the price of diamonds is a manufactured, artificially inflated price. Because scientists can make diamonds in labs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, it reminds me of a quote Huey Freeman from the Boondocks said when Riley was obsessed with getting his fake chain back to keep his street cred.
Yeah.
Just told him it's minerals and rocks. It's only worth as much as you believe it is.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that it's quantum storage, and it uses a defect in the diamond known as a nitrogen vacancy center to store a quantum bit or a qubit. This defect in diamonds has proven quite useful already in use for quantum computers, as it allows researchers to read out the specific spin of an electron, which is a key part of how quantum computer works. Basically, if this becomes available commercially, could you imagine the implications? You could have code. You could have code for games that could be more complex because you'd have the space to put it in there, and you'd have a hard drive that could actually hold it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, knowing how lazy these fucking publishers are, that's not going to happen. It's just going to be bloated ass graphics. It's lifelike because literally we just took pictures of.
You know, it's upsetting. It's upsetting to hear that if you just don't have completely rendered hair and that everything just looks like a PS2 game, and I tell them, look, I love the PS2, but you do not know what a PS2 game looks like if that's your take.
Yeah. I mean, I like the PS2. I think some game. I mean, just like anything else, there's some games that look great for every console. Like they're games that were on the Atari 2600, where for a 2600 game, it was like, this looks much better than it has any business being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are games that were on the NES, like Kirby's Adventure on the NES does things that technically should not be possible on an NES.
Yeah, no, I remember playing that on the 3DS Virtual Console. I was like, this can't be an NES game. It just looks it looks like a really well done indie game today.
Yeah, or a really, really early SNES title.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, like, basically, you know, every console has games like that. But yeah, so yeah, that, I thought that was a cool topic. But let's keep it moving to the final topic. Before we go any further, anyone have any thoughts on the potential game changer that is quantum storage?
To be honest with you, I feel like it can do a lot, though it will depend on who's using it, and well, fingers crossed of finding somebody that could use all that with no big downsides.
I mean, no. Go ahead, Louis.
Oh no, I was just saying it certainly is curious. It's kind of like smart glass for me, where the idea is certainly novel, but I'm sure we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I agree. Kenoshi?
So then again, it's not as novel as a certain game, which we're about to get back to roasting again.
Well, I'm not roasting the game. This is some stuff that came out about the publisher of that game.
Well, the thing is, you know, it's you know, this could be a great thing for video games. This could also be a great thing for audio. You can have more complex audio. Same for video. You got more probably complex video.
It almost sounds like this is an Infinity Stone, where you unleash sounds of which the human mind could never conceive.
Basically,
like you could have, you know, somebody who's an audio engineer probably explain this better, or an audiophile, or you know, somebody who watches a lot of video. But yeah, it could be a great benefit. Or it could just be, well, we're too lazy to clean up our code, so
it's just going to be ultra bloated, which I anticipate it's probably going to be ultra bloated.
Yeah. So don't expect, like, of course, there's going to be a few developers that'll take advantage of the hard drive and add complexity to the game, but expect them to be very few.
Uh, just imagine it. Battle Royale games that have world maps the size of actual world maps.
Imagine an MMO that had an actual world. And not the bullshit they do
Yeah.
now where they're like, it's a zone. It's like a world with that level of detail.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. They probably won't
Yeah.
do it, but it would be amazing.
No, it is exciting to to finally see a true open world, kind of like Xenoblade X for me, because, well, I do love the other Xenoblade still. They're not quite open worlds. They're just really wide linear zones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to go to this zone? You want to go to the Arctic zone? You want to go to the desert zone? It's like, I really
Right.
like the idea of going to another continent.
But a zone I'd like to go back to is the Green Hill Zone with our friend Yuji Naka.
Yep. Moving forward, Yuji Naka is finally giving his side of the debacle, the Sonic the Hedgehog debacle. So let's get into these to his side of the account. Now, before we go any further, this is this is the events from his point of view. Okay, every story there's your side, there's the other party side, and then there's the truth. So somewhere between what he's saying and what Square Enix is probably saying, the truth is somewhere in between. But before we go any further, let's get to it. So Yuji Naka, the celebrated game designer best known for his years at Sega and as head of Sonic Team, has posted an extraordinary condemnation of Square Enix and its approach to making games. The remarks, posted to Naka's social media account and here reproduced through an edited machine translation, relate to the development of the troubled Balan Wonderworld and follow Naka bringing a lawsuit against the publisher for his treatment. Ooh, it went to him suing them. So he definitely feels like he was aggrieved. Some brief context on the game. Balan Wonderworld was announced in 2020 as the fantastical new 3D platformer from the creative minds behind Knights and Sonic. Less than a year later, the game launched to disastrous reviews. Currently stands at 38 on Metacritic, and shortly afterwards it was announced Naka was to leave Square Enix. At the time, Naka seemed rather dejected and even considered giving up altogether. I can't talk about the reason now, he said then, but I hope I can talk about it when the time comes. As for future activities, I'm 55 years old, so I may retire. Well, the time has come. Okay, so approximately a half a year before the launch of Balan Wonderworld, writes Naka, I was removed as director of the game, so I filed a lawsuit against Square Enix in court. I would like to talk now that the suit is over and the company rules are no longer in effect. So the NDA probably ran out. So
you said this was 6 months before the release, you said?
Yeah, 6 months before the game was released.
Oh, okay. Because I was just trying to make a time frame. Because the demo, which shot that game's reputation into into the water, only came out like a month or two before it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that the people they had who were finishing up the game just were like, we just need to get this game out. They were like, yeah, we just need to get it out. So basically, so here's what he's saying. I don't think Square Enix cares about games and game fans. According to the court documents, I was removed as director of Balan Wonderworld for 2 reasons. Naka goes on to say that the producer, head of marketing, head of sound, and the managing director pushed him out. The first reason given was that when a piece of promotional material used a YouTuber's cover arrangement of one of the game's songs, Naka then insisted on the release of the original music as well. Secondly, Naka says he was accused in the court documents of causing trouble with partner developer Arzest by complaining about their submission of a build where certain bugs were not fixed. Naka names Square Enix producers Naoto Oshima and Noriyuki Fujimoto as saying he'd ruined, quotes, the working relationship through such comments, and references an email from Oshima to Fujimoto in which Oshima recounts telling the staff about a delay relating to a demo, crediting Fujimoto for the delay. When I told them, wrote Oshima, the staff applauded and cheered. I was impressed because it was unexpected. Recently, the staff whose spirits have been sinking have revived. Thank you very much. All the staff will do their best. Weird, Naka thinks. The original schedule being too tight was down to Fujimoto, and he's taking credit for a minor delay. Something is wrong, Naka writes, isn't it? Naka writes, the game is made that a game is made by striving to make it a good game until the end, and wanting players to enjoy it when they buy it. It wasn't right to remove a director without consultation from the project for making such comments. Naka says that as a result of the subsequent suit, he couldn't react to anything relating to the game on social media at the time. There were a lot of comments and very nice illustrations of Balan Wonderworld, and I'm really sorry that I couldn't respond to them. I'm really sorry to the customers who bought the unfinished Balan Wonderworld. He writes, when I'm making a game, I think it's natural to make constant corrections in order to make a good one. And if that's not possible, I think it still has to be discussed, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I don't think Square Enix cares about games. With Sonic the Hedgehog, it was changed 2 weeks before the Master, so you will not die if you have one. So you will not die if you have even one ring. To reach this decision, I was trying to improve the game to the last minute. I think everyone in the world is still enjoying it. Naka writes that improving games until the very last moment is what being a game designer is all about. He says he asked a lawyer to negotiate his ability to comment on the game's production, but Square Enix refused, which is why he chose to file court proceedings. I think this situation has a lot to do with the ensuing Balan Wonderworld and the bad reception everyone knows about it. I'm really sad that the game I worked on from the beginning turned out in such a way. Personally, I'm really sorry that I released the unfinished work Balan Wonderworld in the world. My intention with the game was to put it out in the proper form as an action game, but I think Square Enix and Arzest are companies that don't care about games and players. Woo!
Yeah, I was yeah, I saw that on it was a Friday. I saw that article, and I was like, yeah, he went full nuclear on that.
Yeah.
As
You
he
know,
probably should have.
actually,
And
prior to that article, I had no idea who what were they, Arzest was. I'm just looking at their work right now, and nothing particularly stands out to me besides their Mario and Luigi Inside Story.
Yeah, the big thing about Arzest is that they are a studio that essentially, like, their big thing is that they're a farming studio. Like, you farm
Mhm.
work out to them and they get it done quickly. Not necessarily well, but quickly.
Yeah, no, it definitely, because I know I remember us pretty much agreeing that Balan Wonderworld was more of a budget title, but budget and then some.
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
mean,
this was Square's first choice to who to outsource to. I I can see why Yuji Naka's pissed.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it was just a series of, I mean, like, first of all, the game was announced in 2020. It came out in 2021.
Yep.
That is really quick.
Hmm.
That game needed maybe another 6 months in the oven. Now, to be fair, like I said, the art style of the game is really good. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
The art
Oh yeah.
style is good. The music is good. The voice acting is good. I watched a documentary about Balan Wonderworld and how if you read the novel that the book is the prequel novel that the game is
Mhm.
based on, it actually explains a lot of stuff. And it's stuff that should have been in the game, and I think would have been in the game, except Square Enix rushed that turd out there instead of giving it time to digest it,
Mhm.
basically. Um,
Yeah, it sucks because when Square announced this partnership, I was like, this has got to be a dream. This is because my sense is telling me that this partnership is absolutely not going to work out and just isn't actually happening right now. But my heart's telling me, oh man, Square's finally changing it up. They're trying to make a new face of themselves, but that's what you get for listening to your heart.
yeah, yeah. You can't listen to your heart. You gotta be.
Right, and it sucks that this is his swan song too. If you said he was pretty much saying he was going to retire, this is such a sad note to leave on too. I mean, unless he gets a really good settlement from Square.
I don't know. The laws are different in Japan than they are.
Yeah, you know, I would love if after this a string of suits come out with all of Square's failed projects and some head developer coming out saying, "Hey, look, I'd like to sue Square for so and so grievance where they meddled too much into production of this."
Well, God knows they've messed up a lot of games. Like a lot of Square
Right.
Enix published games have landed with the all of the effect of a wet fart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Babylon's Falls, um, from Platinum, an event, the Marvel Avengers game, even Guardians of the Galaxy, which was good, underperformed.
Yeah.
I believe they had this. What was it? Outriders. They had that didn't go well for them.
Well, Outriders did the best, but it still isn't great.
Hmm. What else do they have? Of course, The World Ends with You. That's the other one, and the Chocobo Racing, and the Stranger of Paradise, from what I understand.
Yeah, and that game, I mean, all these are budget titles.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. What I do know is that Square Enix has. I mean, and the CEO of the company's like, yeah, NFTs and blockchain are a good thing. I'm like, I don't think games should be fun. Obviously, you don't. Obviously, it's obvious you don't think video games should be fun.
I actually remember there was this really stupid quote because they just announced that Final Fantasy 16 is in its final stages of development, and the producer on that just I'm looking for it
Stuck a
right now.
tail.
One second. But the quote he said, it just, I was like, wow, that's not really how you inspire confidence. And quite honestly, you've already lost a lot of good faith with me that not even that admission is going to bring me back. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for it right now. Here it is. He says, for those who have grown up and realized that reality isn't kind to you and have drifted away from Final Fantasy, we hope that Final Fantasy 16 will be a game that can bring back anew the passion that you once had with the series. I'm like, good luck with that.
Well, I mean, the only thing that would make me come back is if they actually had a party system, towns that you wanted to go to, an interesting
Hmm.
story, good gameplay, interesting, well written characters, and that hasn't been a thing in Final Fantasy in years at this point. So,
No, not hell. I think almost over 2 decades now.
so I don't know. We have a little bit of time left for the cast. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap things up? Any topics you're like, I want to get this off my chest? People need to talk about it. This
There's this
happened.
one.
Go
There's
ahead,
this one.
sir.
It's a minor one. Since I don't really have a leg in it, that MOBA, um, Nintendo put out, that Pokemon Unite, that had got some traction, is going paid subscription now.
Ugh,
Well,
I'm sorry. That I already get the heaves when I hear about Unite.
Yeah, no, because I guess it's just curious to me since I've always known Nintendo just to be a single player console, play at home, very, very little online focus. So whenever I hear their ventures into the mobile gaming, or now they have a MOBA, which I unfortunately wasn't aware of, it's just I'm just curious as to what the heck their strategy is.
bleed you
This
dry
is
for
with the
all your
Pokemon
money.
Company, so this is
Mm,
really biting me.
okay, I guess it might. I guess it is. It might not be a Nintendo thing. Then probably just published by them then, or just on their console exclusively.
It may be published by them, but it's their thing. Like
Mm,
you have to allow it. So, yeah, I mean, look, we're in a new age for Nintendo. Iwata died, and the new guy is in charge, and the new guy
mm.
sucks. In my opinion, I know some people might like Furukawa. I am less than impressed. Um,
Next.
like I'm like, like I said,
It's
I'm less than impressed. I'm not like, you know.
As I said, I'm mixed because so far he hasn't really sunk anything big time into the water, but he's making me wonder if he if he knows there's fires on the ship.
I'm just not impressed.
Yeah, no, like I said, he's very unassuming. You know, like he hasn't popped yet. He's just sort of just twiddling his thumbs.
Well, I mean, everyone's going to be like, well, you know, he had the Switch, but the Switch was Iwata's last.
Yeah.
That was his last. That was his
His
last
last
master
run.
move. Yeah, that was his last move he did. So, like, really, what you're seeing now in the latter life of the Switch, that's really Furukawa's thing. And to be honest with you, um, not really impressed.
Only thing I'm getting is that he's a big Mario Kart fan. I guess I have him to thank for all the Mario Kart 8 exposure.
I mean, I guess look, he's.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a Mario Kart fan. I think he sees that Mario Kart sold gangbusters on the Wii U, and sold gangbusters on the Wii. Like Mario Kart is a consistent hit for Nintendo, and he's like, yeah, we'll put it on the Switch.
Yeah, no. How long has he been president now? What, 5 years? Just about?
No, because
6?
before him it was Kimishima, who was like,
What, an interim guy?
yeah, he was the interim guy. So now it's him. So
Okay, okay.
not
Yeah, he
really,
became president in 2018. Yeah, no, he hasn't made a splash at all yet.
but like I said, right now, not impressed. I know some
Fair.
people are going to be like, "Oh, how would you say that?" Not in just he hasn't really done anything where I'm like, "Wow, this is fucking amazing." Um, you know, I know some people are going to get angry when they hear that. They're like, "How could you say that? Give him a chance."
That's fair.
Huh.
Like I said, that's my point of view. But like I said, that's not really giving benefit of the doubt. Just he's not veered one way or the other in my perception of him. He's just there, static.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, what he's done thus far has been mostly kind of like messed up stuff.
Such as.
Well, okay. The delisting of
Mm.
the virtual console.
Oh yeah.
The lack of value in the online. Although he has acknowledged that their online is shit and it needs to be better, but this is not the way to do it. Just kind of, I'm like, I'm underwhelmed. I'm underwhelmed. But to each his own. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just like, I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you.
Fair.
But I mean, he's not. He just hasn't really sparked to my imagination or made me say, "Wow, this guy is really he's on top of his game." Um, you know, uh, the whole Joy-Con thing, which apparently that's a major structural systemic issue with the Joy-Cons, is that they have drift.
Yeah, and apparently there was a comment because apparently they went ahead and farmed that work out to a couple to some other businesses, and they would always say that their warehouses were just in absolute frenzy because of how of the orders they were getting.
Yeah, so that's a major issue. So why haven't they redesigned the Joy-Con? I know people say, well, they need HD Rumble. They don't fucking use HD Rumble. There are no games on the Switch where HD Rumble needs to be there.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, no, at this point, like I said, I'm not excusing them for it, but I definitely see it's going to be a blight on the Switch's memory. I'll always remember this because I've already had 2 controllers drift on me. Used a Switch repair kit for one, second one. I said, you know what, I'm just going to get some third party ones. Yeah, they're going to be connected all the time, but I often play undocked a lot of the time, so it's no issue to me.
Yeah, Yeah, for me, I just I like, and I know people are gonna say, well, why are you complaining? You don't have Joy-Con drift. I don't, because I don't use my Joy-Cons. I use the Pro controller.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm not gonna deal with
I
that
use
shit.
both,
I'm just not gonna deal with the shit. I'm not dealing with
and
it.
I actually
Cause when I got my Switch, the Joy Cons were still like $70,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I'd rather just spend $70 on a Pro controller, cause at least I get a
Yeah.
decent D-pad.
Especially me who plays a couple fighting games even on the Switch. Joy Cons, not the way.
Yeah,
yeah.
Nope.
yeah, yeah. That I tell you something. That friggin'
Hello?
No, I'm still there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Joy-Con, the problem with the Joy-Con, with the Joy-Cons, just for me, is that I understand on a technical, like we want to include two controllers, and that's great for people who want to play with other people. But most of the games I play are single player, and the fact that they still don't have an option for a Joy-Con with a decent D-pad on it
Yeah,
is
no, I really
just
don't like
offensive to me.
that C pad thing they have there.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, this is fucking terrible. But you know, to each his own. Anyway, that being said, yeah, I mean, I have to agree with your arguments. They're all pretty damn valid. Anyone have any other topics they want to bring up before we wrap things up? We don't have an a-hole of the week just because. Well, no, I guess we can do an a-hole of the week.
Hmm.
We can do an a-hole of the week. Um,
Hmm.
Square Enix for continuously
Square,
putting out
yeah,
unfun games.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
This
Square
game
Enix
is not
Oh,
sounds like the
fun.
winner.
oh, I don't wait. I probably wasn't here when you guys talked about it. I guess you guys already went over that whole potential Ubisoft being sold or bought,
No, we
whatever.
didn't cover that, but I guess we can give our brief thoughts about it.
Sure. I don't know who'd want him, to be honest.
I mean,
Good question.
the thing you have to realize is that anybody who buys Ubisoft is going to have to spend like $100 billion, because Activision is around the same size as EA, but because of their scandals, their price is third. So EA, if you want to buy EA, you'd have to spend around 80 billion. Ubisoft is bigger than EA and Activision, so you'd have to spend at least 100 billion. And Activision's getting bought for 68.7. So I mean, who wants to spend $100 billion and get the headache that is Ubisoft?
No, that's my thinking exactly. And uh, at this point, they're just going to be a lot more than they're worth. Like, even if someone did buy them, I don't even think all their backed up projects would come out any faster. Like, how long has it been they've been parroting us that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is coming? I mean, I don't even care about that game. It just came out of left field that they announced a sequel to a game. It doesn't resemble the game at all. It turns out that the game doesn't even exist, and they're still
Yeah,
sending info down.
they just showed a CGI trailer for a game that is not being worked on.
It just blew me away. I was like, this here right there, that's AAA gaming at its finest.
Yeah, but it's Ubisoft, and it's probably going to be some shit. And it's not even like, anyone who played Beyond Good and Evil knows that game ends on a major cliffhanger. We're not even getting a game to resolve the cliffhanger. This is like
Right.
Mega Man Legends 2, where Mega Man is stuck on the moon. We're never going to get a resolution to that. Mega Man Rockman Volnut's just stuck on the fucking moon.
Mm-hmm.
Poor,
And
poor
old Capcom
Rockman.
canceled that third one. Yeah, Rockman, Mega Man's Japanese name. But yeah, and then Capcom canceled that third one. Oh, I know that hurt.
Yeah, it was a painful thing.
But yeah, Ubisoft. I only pray that whoever does end up buying them, I hope you have a plan.
I think that Yves Guillemot made that shit pile, and he needs to be stuck with it.
That's valid. Yep.
You know, hey, you shit in the bed, now you got to lie in it. You know, I think that's what should happen. I don't think it should, because I mean, you see what happened to Activision. Bobby Kotick and his executives and all the people who were in upper management ruined that company, and now they're getting a payday as they ride off into the sunset like they didn't do a fucking thing wrong.
Mm.
So no, I don't think Ubisoft should be bought. I think Yves Guillemot should be there in his pile of dog shit that he created by basically turning it into a boys' club. So he deserves
Far,
whatever happens to him. You know,
yep,
like,
Far Cry 6 wasn't enough to bring him. Or wait, was it 6? Yeah, 6 wasn't enough to bring him out of it.
well, Far Cry's been shit for years. Like even Far Cry 4, like go back and play Far Cry 4. It's not that good. It's like parts of it are fun, but even back then, the Ubisoft, oh great, I climbed this tower, I unlocked 20 activities in the zone, and
Mm,
all of them basically start feeling the same.
right.
Like all of Ubisoft's like all of the Far Cry games feel janky as hell. They're not fun. It's not like if you're gonna have an open world, it needs to be fun to traverse the open world.
Right.
Okay, it needs to feel fun. You don't believe me? Go play Xenoblade Chronicles X. Okay,
Good counter argument.
Xenoblade
Always.
Chronicles X is fun. It's fun to traverse that world. It's fun jumping off of a tall thing and falling to the bottom and landing like you're a superhero. Of course, you find out later that you're friggin' robots, but still, that's fun. Or get into
Hmm.
a skell and flying around, or
No, yeah.
or going into road mode and rolling around. That's fun. Play Far Cry. Even driving cars in Far Cry is not fun.
No, I hear that. Like I said, even if you don't have a Wii U, just play Just Cause for 10 minutes. I mean, don't play the whole game. I wouldn't recommend that, but just for like 10 minutes, just to feel the breeze.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, that's all I'm saying. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, the fact that Ubisoft may get bought, I mean, it's cool, but I mean, who would want to take on that much? Like Ubisoft asking to get bought is like a single woman who has 10 kids saying, why won't some man marry me and help me take care of these 10 kids? It's like who's going to take on that load? Shit.
You think they'll do a THQ and just go ahead and liquidate themselves and sell themselves piece by piece?
No,
Mm,
because I mean, I haven't heard of Ubisoft being in that level of financial trouble.
okay.
Um, I'm not saying that they're in great shape because they haven't had any like real huge hits, but they aren't in like, oh my
They're
god.
they're at least enough shape to not be sinking like a capsule
Yeah, they aren't
in like
losing
a
tons
black
and
hole.
tons of money. I don't
They're on
think.
Yeah.
crutches, but they're walking fine.
Yeah, basically. I mean, because I mean, they do have some games that have a lot of recurring microtransactions that are keeping them afloat. Like people are still playing the Division 2. People are still playing that Ghost Recon game.
Hmm.
Their NFT games, their new games aren't really jumping off because because here's the thing, like all these companies that keep on bandwagoning, it's like we're gonna make a live service game, but we don't have any fucking good ideas for live service, but we're gonna make a live service game and hope that it sticks. We heard NFTs were hot a year ago, so we're gonna put NFTs in our game, like they did with the Ghost Recon game. That they were like, this is gonna let you own a part of the game and you can sell your NFTs, and then they pull the plug on the game. So anyone who spent the 27 people who bought NFTs in that Ghost Recon in that Ghost Recon game that they put the NFTs in, your NFT is worthless. It's not even useful for a piece of paper because if you're out of toilet paper, you can use the piece of paper to wipe your ass with. You can't do that with an NFT. Um. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Uh, but yeah,
I hear you.
yeah, it's. I mean, like no one's gonna want to take on that load of
Yeah, no, it's a
Ubisoft.
terrible fall from grace because while I was never really a Ubisoft fan ever, like I said, it always sucks when I see what they were in the late '90s to mid 2000s and what they became within the late 2000s up until recently. It's just it's upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft. The worst thing that ever happened to Ubisoft is when they went huge.
It'll happen. You get all that fame and fortune, go to your head. Yeah.
When they became the third biggest, like one of the big three of indie not indie of third party developers. That's when Ubisoft went to shit. When they were like a double A publisher and developer, they were good. When they went to triple A, it just went down the tubes.
What like Midway did?
Well, Midway was always one or two flops from going bankrupt.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. They're pretty much always in the red, and they just it just caught up to them.
That was like that. It was more like THQ.
Mm.
THQ got too big for their output. Like they were trying to do too much shit, and they didn't focus on their wheelhouse, which was making licensed games and some singular IP.
Yeah, no, they were pretty much. I hate to use the word. They were the whorehouse for every license ever. Viacom, Universal. They knocked on their doors every day.
Yeah, but I mean, ironically, a lot of the THQ games were good, like Tak and the Power of Juju. It's actually
Hey,
a good game.
I'm a big fan of the SpongeBob platform myself.
Yeah, SpongeBob, and then they had their indie stuff like not indie, their personal stuff like Darksiders,
Yeah,
Darksiders
Joe.
2.
It's another one they had. Right, was it? Oh, what would the Time game? Were they the guys behind that? Not Time Crisis, the other one, the Time Splitters. I think that was them.
They may have published it. I don't think they definitely made it. But my point is this. THQ, when they were in their lane and like a double A developer / publisher, they were good. It was when Jason Rubin became CEO and was like, "We're gonna be like the big boys." You don't want to be like the big boys. You think you want to be like the big boys, but you don't. You don't. Trust me on that. You do not want to be like Ubisoft and Microsoft. You don't want to be like EA and Activision.
No, like hell, even if Naughty Dog resembles their story more, at least Naughty Dog has the benefit of being successful.
Yeah. Commercially, they are very successful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so our a-hole of the week. I know some people might say Activision because they're still effing up. I'm gonna say Square Enix for tanking the reputation of, whether you love them or hate them, one of the most influential game designers / developers, of modern gaming, Yuji Naka. Because when you're a developer, all you have is your reputation and your credibility, and they helped tank that directly or indirectly. So,
All right. I'll go ahead and agree with Square Enix because I would say the next one I have is a little too spicy to touch. I was gonna say Amber Heard, but we haven't seen the ruling on that yet, so I'll hold back on that.
yeah, we'll wait. But I mean, the only thing I'll say about the Amber Heard thing is this: the people who think only women are victims of domestic violence. That's not true. Men can also be a victim of domestic violence.
Yeah,
and for people who are saying, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just let go of that stupid masculinity of yours. But yeah.
And for the people who are saying, well, he should have just taken it as a man. Okay, take this shit that Amber Heard allegedly did to Johnny Depp and reverse the genders and make it a man doing that to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just as fucking heinous.
She took a crap in his bed. Like, that's so gross.
Allegedly.
That is okay. Allegedly, she did that, but I mean, think about this. He had to wear makeup on his wedding day because she beat him in the face. Now, I mean, as someone who I have a degree in political science and sociology, but like sociology, like that's one of the signs of a classic domestic abuser.
Yeah.
Like people like them them being triggered at a social occasion and beating someone, and them having to hide, you know, like Johnny Depp's bodyguard. Well, he fell into a door. That motherfucker didn't fall into a door. She kicked his fucking ass. And he tried to
it's like,
de-escalate. He used de-escalation techniques of, I'm gonna go to another room, I'm gonna walk away, I'm gonna retreat and be non-confrontational. And she wanted to fight, and she kicked his ass because he wouldn't hit her back. You know, and that's bad.
The thing is like people are like, man, well, women are so much weaker than men. It's just, but at the same time, it's just, that's the assumption, but at the same time, you shouldn't be putting your hands on people. Period.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like, typically speaking, I agree with you. Women, all things being equal, women might not have the same upper body strength as a man, but Johnny Depp is a small man.
Okay? Also, a slap hurts no matter what. You ever had a baby slap you in the face when you pick it up?
No, but I mean, Johnny Depp is a small man, and he was not trying to fight her. So if you have someone, even if they're physically weaker than you, that you're actively not trying to fight them, but they're full on trying to beat your ass. Yeah, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
That's right. It's a very psychotic entrapment way of getting them.
I mean, what would Johnny like? What would you say about Johnny Depp if he did whip her into the ropes and gave her the big boot? Like,
they'd be like, you're violent, and you hit women. But on top of that, she also
situation basically.
She destroyed this man's reputation, caused him to lose tons of money, on a lie. Like, she lied and said that he was abusive. He beat me. And look, listen. Okay, you can listen to Johnny Depp talk. The worst thing Johnny Depp is going to do is breaking your refrigerator and eat up all your food because he's a fucking pothead. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing Johnny Depp is going to do. He might smoke all your damn weed. Okay? That's the... It's like, oh no, Johnny smoked all my weed. Like, Johnny Depp's not going to beat somebody's ass.
The worst he could do is just waste your consumable.
Yeah, if you got some pizza on the table and he's got the munchies, he'll kill that fucking pizza. But hey man, it's a pizza. No, he'll eat that shit, but he ain't gonna beat somebody's ass. And and like I said, she got this. She destroyed this man's career over a lie.
Yeah.
So I guess we can do a co-asshole of the week. So co-asshole of the week, video game wise, Square Enix. Real life wise, Amber Heard for destroying a man's career.
Fully whip and agree.
So there you go, folks. We got
co-signed that.
Two the asshole of the week with two butt cheeks. The left butt cheek is Square Enix, the right butt cheek, Amber Heard. And they come together, the asshole of the week. So that's the end of the cast. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Yeah, Project Console Tuesday at 7:30. We'll be talking about one of the big topics we'll be talking about is the reckoning that might be coming to the gaming industry with all these big companies being called out the past 3-4 years.
I agree. I would love that. Joel, anything you wanna call out attention to or anything like that before we wrap things up?
No, but if anything, I got asked, are we doing the 4th?
The 4th. You mean Oh yes, Wednesday, May the 4th. Yes, our next podcast will be a specialty Star Wars cast because it'll be May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So we'll be talking Star Wars stuff. So of course it's probably going to be us waxing poetic about the days when Star Wars was good, and not what it is now, which is
I was going to say a desert.
A cavalcade of bullshit. It's a cavalcade of bullshit. Run by fanboys who just can't seem to tell a good story.
I was trying to at least make it sensible with the Star Wars theme that it's like sand. It gets in everywhere that you don't want it to be.
I hate sand. It gets into everything. It's coarse. Oh god, that is so bad. Man.
I love the cut where Natalie Portman just stares at him for like an awkwardly long amount of time.
Yeah, that was look, if that was their love story, it was some of the worst. It was some of the most worst. It was one of the worstly. It was one of the worst acted love stories I have ever seen.
That's right.
And I say this as someone who has seen some like I took a film course where we watched bad 70s porn, which has terrible acting. That's still better. That's still better than the acting that what was going on in that love story between Amidala and Anakin.
I mean, I know there's some stories that are bad on purpose, but is it that? Can it be that bad?
It was that bad. It was terrible.
Old Lucas just kind of looked at the flip notes of what Disney romance is.
Well, the thing is, George Lucas is a special effects cinematically speaking. George Lucas is a very good director, but when it comes to working with actors, he's not. Like, that's not his thing. So
yeah, and I mean, he didn't have anyone to rein him in from his original crew.
Exactly. You know, there was no one there to say, "Hey, that's a good idea, but what if we did this?" There was no one there to do that. The only person who could really pull that off with George back then was Steven Spielberg. That's why Indiana Jones, the original trilogy, was so good, because you had Steven Spielberg to say, "Hey, that's a good idea, George, but what if we did this?" It's like, you know, like in the first Indiana Jones, George Lucas is like, "Hey guys, you know, I really want to have a underage love plot where we have Marion is way too young to be with Indy, because we'll talk about it off air. But anyway, that's in the cast. Our May the 4th cast will be May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, or the Schwartz, if you will. So that's going to be kind of fun. And then obviously we will have our podcast every Saturday as well. Same bat time, same bat place, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get in touch with me, no longer on Twitter. I have left Twitter. I've deleted my account. If you want to get in touch with me, you'll have to find me on Discord or in the comment section, or you can, you know, always go to my channel and go to the comment section and query me there. So that's the end of the cast. You know, back in the day I would have said Google Plus, but Google Plus is gone. It's no more, and there's nothing to replace it with. So that's the end of the cast. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and